Hi, let us understand how to prepare the environment for Docker Swarm installation. As we discussed earlier, first I am going to start an EC2 instance and install all the required software. Let me go ahead and launch an instance. Let me select Amazon Linux. Let me go with the small instance. As I am going to create a template, I'll go with a small instance. I'll start only one instance now. I'll keep it as 8 GB. And I'll make sure delete on termination is enabled. Let me add name. I'm providing the value as Swarm template. Security group, I'll select the existing security group, or otherwise I can go ahead and create a new security group as well. As already we had seen how to create the security group, use the keys. I'm just using the security group and the keys that already I have. I'm going to reuse the key that I had already created. I'm going to launch the instance. In the meantime, let me change the security group so that I can allow my IP address to log into the instance. As I have dynamic IP address from the ISP, I need to refresh this so that it does allow using the PuTTY. Let me copy the instance DNS. Let me open the PuTTY shell. I'm going to provide the host name, and as already discussed, I'm going to use the default user EC2-user, and as a part of the SSH auth tab, I have the key that I had selected. As I'm using Windows operating system, I used a PuTTYGen and converted the key to the PPK format. In case if you had skipped the earlier lecture on how to launch the EC2 instance and use the key and generate the PPK file format, you can refer to the earlier lecture on how to prepare the instance for Docker installation. Let me open the shell. As I am logging in for the first time, it's asking for the fingerprint verification. I'm into the instance. First thing first, let me go ahead and do the update. Now let me go ahead and do the installation of Docker. Docker installation is done. Now I am going to add the user EC2 user as a part of the Docker group. Now I'll start the Docker service and I will make sure the Docker is enabled so that every time when I'm starting an instance, the Docker will get started automatically. Let me go ahead and start the Docker service. Now let me go ahead and enable the Docker service as a part of the startup using systemctl. Let me check whether Docker is running. Let me check the Docker version. So it went ahead and did the installation of Docker version 18.09 Community Edition. And once if I restart the system, I don't need to provide this particular sudo option. The reason because already we have added the EC2 user as a part of the Docker group. For that to take effect, we need to restart the system. Let me go ahead and restart the system. This will terminate the PuTTY session. Once it gets restarted, I can relog into the instance. I have relogged into the session. Now let me provide the command docker version. Now without providing sudo, I will be in a position to execute the Docker commands because the EC2 user is added as a part of the Docker group. Now I do have the system ready. Let me go ahead and create an image, that is AMI. We call that as a template from this particular instance. Let me go ahead and select the option image, create image. So I'm going to provide the name as Swarm template, and I'll allow the system to reboot so that the image will be a perfect image. Let me say create image. The session will get terminated when the image is getting created. I can have the list of images available from the AMI's option. Once the image is ready, I can go ahead and terminate the instance. From that particular image, I can start any number of instances that I wanted, and that will be having all this particular setup right from the files, configuration files, and the installations available in the system that we are going to start. So basically this acts as a template, and this is what the template we are going to use in future to start any new system for the Swarm. The image is ready. Now I can go ahead and delete this particular instance that we used to create the image, or otherwise I can reuse. For understanding purpose, I'm going to terminate so that we can be very sure the image is working fine. So in a quick summary, we had seen how to start a sample instance and install the Docker and make sure that is getting started whenever I am restarting the instance. Then we created an AMI, and we do have the AMI. This is the AMI we are going to use it in future to start the instance for SWAM demo.